Part 1. The invisible burden of seeing too much. Have you ever noticed that the more you question the world, the more it seems to shut you out? There's a cruel irony in the fate of those who think differently. Their depth liberates them, yet traps them in invisible solitude. This isn't paranoia. Since ancient times, those who dared to see beyond the obvious have been treated as outsiders, not for lacking wisdom, but for having too much of it. Imagine Hypatia of Alexandria, mathematician and philosopher, torn apart by a mob that saw truth as heresy. Or Nietzsche, whose ideas about the overman were distorted to fuel ideologies he himself would reject. The brilliant mind of Alan Turing, codebreaker of the Nazis, was reduced to marginalization by a society that couldn't tolerate his truth. The pattern repeats. Those who illuminate unknown paths are punished for revealing that darkness exists. Behind this phenomenon lies a rarely discussed psychological mechanism: epistemic anxiety. When someone exposes truths that shatter our certainties, our brain interprets it as a physical threat. MIT research reveals that contradicting deep-seated beliefs activates the insular cortex, the same region that processes disgust and pain. It's not about being wrong, it's about feeling the ground vanish beneath your feet. Observe how everyday interactions work. In a political debate, anyone presenting complex data is accused of overcomplicating things. In a work meeting, innovative solutions are met with awkward silence. Psychologist Irving Janis called this groupthink. Groups prefer illusory harmony to disruptive truths. When you introduce a truly original idea, you're not just suggesting something new, you're exposing the fragility of consensus. Behavioral science explains part of this conflict. Confirmation bias drives us to seek information that validates what we already believe, while the Dunning-Kruger effect ensures the least capable are the loudest. In such a world, depth becomes a subversive act. Think of forgotten geniuses. Rosalind Franklin, whose crucial work on DNA was eclipsed; Nikola Tesla, dying in poverty, while rivals profited from his patents. They didn't fail, the system rejected them for being too much. In the digital age, this dynamic intensifies. Platforms profit from polarization, not nuance. An inflammatory tweet gains millions of views. A carefully crafted essay on ethics becomes digital dust. Harvard neuroscientists found that superficial content activates the nucleus, accumbens the brain's reward center, while deep reflections demand cognitive effort many avoid. The result? A society addicted to simplicity, where thinking is an extreme sport. But here's a fascinating paradox. Those excluded for their depth are often the architects of the future. The Stoics, considered eccentric in their time, gave the world concepts that now govern modern psychology. Simone Weil, ignored in her lifetime, is now studied as a visionary of social justice. The rejection we feel today might be the draft of tomorrow's legacy. As Kierkegaard wrote, the greatest danger losing oneself can occur silently, as if it were nothing. No loss is more irreversible. This isn't a call to isolation, but to the courage to navigate two worlds. The deep mind is like an underground river, invisible on the surface, yet sustaining entire ecosystems. Perhaps our task isn't to be understood, but to remain true to our intellectual integrity. After all, as Camus reminded us, in the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. The thinker's solitude isn't empty, it's filled with the seeds of futures only they can see. Part 2. Silent resistance and the invisible revolution. If the thinker's solitude is a burden, why do so many insist on bearing it? The answer lies in a secret guarded by history. The greatest revolutions begin as whispers in empty rooms. While crowds applaud cliches, true transformers work in the shadows, weaving new paradigms with threads of restlessness. Consider the paradox of the dictatorship of the superficial. The more a society idolizes speed, the more it relies on minds that operate in slow motion. Algorithms hypnotize us with rapid stimuli, but who created these tools? Visionaries like Tim Berners-Lee, who imagined the web as a space for collaboration, not conflict. His vision was corrupted but not invalidated proof that even distorted ideas carry seeds of change. Neuroscience reveals a critical insight. The human brain takes 23 minutes to regain focus after an interruption. In a world of endless notifications, deep thinking has become an act of rebellion. Stanford researchers identified decision fatigue. Our ability to judge diminishes with excessive shallow information. Thus, those who preserve depth become living antidotes to mental poisoning. Hannah Arendt, analyzing the banality of evil, warned of the dangers of automatic thinking. Her observations echo today. The inability to reflect breeds monsters. On a collective scale, when a deep thinker questions entrenched prejudice or oppressive systems, they aren't being difficult, they're performing an act of cognitive hygiene for society. But how to sustain this stance in a world that rewards immediacy? The key lies in the Stoic concept of amor fatiloving one's fate. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius didn't flee rejection. They used it as a lesson. In his journals, the philosopher-emperor wrote, "The stone in the path isn't there to make you stumble, but to test whether you deserve to reach your destination." Intellectual solitude, then, isn't a curse but a rite of passage. Modern physics offers a powerful metaphor: black holes. Long seen as cosmic destroyers, we now know they're essential to galaxy formation. So it is with deep thinkers, catalysts for transformations understood only decades later. Alan Turing, persecuted in life, is now the father of AI. Giordano Bruno, burned as a heretic, foresaw the universe's infinity. This raises an uncomfortable question. Are we doomed to repeat this cycle of rejection and belated redemption? Psychologist Carol Dweck offers an escape with her growth mindset theory. Societies valuing continuous learning over static dogma create ecosystems where depth thrives. Countries like Finland, which reformed education to prioritize critical thinking, prove change is possible, but it demands collective courage. At the heart of this battle lies a clash between two kinds of power: vertical imposing truths and horizontal building them collaboratively. Foucault warned that knowledge is a battlefield, but we forget that every epistemological revolution starts with individuals willing to think against the tide. I leave you with a challenge next time you feel the weight of intellectual isolation. Remember Emily Dickinson. The poet wrote 1,800 poems in secret, finding beauty in obscurity. Her legacy was discovered posthumously, but now illuminates millions. Her story teaches us that some flames must burn in silence to ignite the world later. The thinker's solitude isn't a dead end, it's a tunnel. And as those who walk in darkness know, every dig persists, because someone, somewhere, believes there's light on the other side. Part 3. Why the 21st century is silencing its thinkers, and how to revive your voice. The loneliness of deep thinkers has never been more paradoxical. We live in an age of hyperconnectivity, but also of intellectual isolation. As you watch this video, algorithms work to keep your attention locked in endless loops of triviality. It's no coincidence thinking deeply has become an act of rebellion. The invisible enemy, the tyranny of the like. Schopenhauer warned about collective stupidity, but even he couldn't foresee attention capitalism. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram operate under a perverse logic. They reward simplicity and punish complexity. Oxford neuroscientists found that scrolling feeds for 15 minutes reduces concentration by 40%. Brains grow, addicted to quick stimuli, and reject depth. Example 1, Yuval Noah Harari, author of *Sapiens*, was labeled an alarmist for predicting AI's ethical crises. Example 2, Byung-Chul Han, the Korean philosopher, critiques the burnout society where everyone is a self-entrepreneur, too busy to think. Here's the problem: technology isn't neutral. It's designed to exploit cognitive biases. The like button triggers the nucleus accumbens, the same reward circuit activated by cocaine. When you try to discuss philosophy in a world addicted to digital dopamine, it's like offering fine wine at a soccer stadium. The trap of toxic productivity. Schools and corporations have adopted a dangerous mantra: thinking is a waste of time. A Cambridge University study revealed 72% of millennials equate deep work with inefficiency. Result? In universities, philosophy courses are replaced with 21st century skills, read advanced Excel. In corporations, employees who question processes are fired for not being team players. Even language has shifted. Terms like overthinker and analysis paralysis pathologize reflection. As Zygmunt Bauman said, liquid modernity fears the solidity of ideas. Survival strategies for deep minds. 1. Master the art of stealth thinking. Learn from digital monks thinkers who camouflage depth in palatable formats. Examples: post philosophical Twitter threads using memes. See philosophy memes. Create YouTube videos blending Nietzsche with Rick and Morty. 2. Redesign your mental diet. Digital minimalism. Delete apps that steal your attention. Tip: replace TikTok with focus apps like Brain FM. Deep reading 20 daily minutes of dense texts, Kant, Dostoevsky. Rewire your brain to resist superficiality. 3. Find your shadow tribe. Places where deep minds thrive secretly. Discord servers on Stoic philosophy. Underground book clubs in public libraries. Alternative YouTube channels like yours that reject cheap clickbait. The paradox of hope. Why you must keep going. History hides a pattern. The more society rejects thinkers, the more it relies on them to avoid collapse. See, Jordan Peterson mocked for discussing personal responsibility, yet his books save lost young lives. Greta Thunberg ridiculed by leaders, but forced the world to confront climate change. Schopenhauer was right. Intelligence is a curse, but also an evolutionary gift. Neuroplasticity proves that deep brains develop more active default mode networks. They're literally wired to create alternate futures. The final challenge. If you've watched this far, you're already part of the resistance. Your mission: communicate without diluting use. Metaphors explain Kant as a mental personal trainer. Guard your sacred time, 90 daily minutes offline, to think or create. Document your ideas. Even if no one reads them now, like Turing and Nietzsche, your notebook could change the world decades later. Society will call you too intense, too serious. Remember, shallow water evaporates fast, deep oceans outlast all eras. Part 4. The future belongs to the outsiders. How deep thinkers are quietly shaping tomorrow. As you watch this video, a silent revolution is unfolding. In Detroit's abandoned warehouses, a former factory worker uses Stoic philosophy to rebuild his community. In a Brooklyn basement, a programmer inspired by Tesla is developing open-source AI to democratize technology. The future isn't being built by those in the spotlight, it's being coded by misfits, outsiders, and thinkers who've mastered the art of invisible impact. The outsider's revenge. History repeats, but this time with a digital twist. Subversive education. Example: Philosophers in the Hood, a Detroit initiative, where street artists teach Nietzsche and Angela Davis in graffiti workshops. Data: 68% of participants report starting grassroots projects. Pew Research 2023. Art as a weapon. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Used quantum physics to critique capitalism and won Best Picture. American twist: indie filmmakers in Austin are using TikTok to crowdsource. Surrealist scripts about student debt. Stealth politics. In Portland, anonymous philosophers run a podcast, advising city leaders on ethical AI under pseudonyms like Plato 2.0. The American Guerrilla Intellectuals Playbook. Step 1. Hijack pop culture. Turn Marvel movies into philosophy lectures. Example: Thanos was wrong, a Stoic's guide to saving half the universe. Viral Reddit post with 2 million upvotes. Step 2. Infiltrate Silicon Valley. Be the weird consultant who asks CEOs, would Kant approve your algorithm? Real tactics, used by an ethicist at Google. Step 3. Build a digital time capsule. Start a Substack newsletter under a pen name. Like Thomas Paine's Common Sense, your words might spark a movement decades later. If you've made it this far, you're already part of the rebellion. Liking this video is dissent. Subscribing is enlistment. Sharing? That's planting an idea bomb in someone's feed. The next Einstein isn't in a lab coat. They're watching this right now, wondering if they'll click or change everything. The question is, will you let the algorithm win? Or will you hit that bell and join the quiet revolution?